rao amohela lenanong la Walk With Me. O dutse le nna Sebueng Lephatsa. Ha ke tsamaye ke le mong ke na le Mr Bothata Kennedy Silase. Yena re tlo bua le yena ka ditaba tsa hae tsa hore na o joine the military force jwang neng. Re boela re bua le yena hape ka ditaba tsa buka ya hae e bitswang The Recoil. Mr Kennedy Silase ga wa moela ntate.
Ke a leboha me Sebueng.
Ke a leboha ntate. Ako re qoqele hanyenyana hore na Mr Bothata Kennedy Silase ke mang, o hlaha kae, ho etsahala jwang kae?
Okay, first of all, let me say Bothata Kennedy Silase is a serving member of Lesotho Defense Force who works at Mejametalana Air Base. I'm also an international novelist, orator, ghostwriter, speechwriter. I work under a close supervision of a literary agent, Michael Thomas Kilabesinski from the United States of America. So I've written 3 books. The other one, I wrote it with other people from parts of Africa. One person was from Tanzania, the other from Kenya, the other from Zimbabwe, the other from Botswana, and myself. So I'm also the deputy director of the PLO Lumumba Foundation Lesotho chapter. What we can recognize is that the PLO Lumumba Foundation is present in 39 African countries and 10 in the diaspora.
Mohi we kutletse hore na ntate o di beya jwang. Ntate Kennedy, ako re qoqele hore na what inspired you to be in the Air Force?
Okay, first of all, let me say you don't join the Air Force directly. I was first recruited into the Army in the year 2013. Then I worked at Makwanyani military base, but I was working under the 1-3 infantry battalion. Then there was a course which we applied for. Then I was inducted into the Lesotho Defense Force military base. So literally what I can say is I started working at Mejametalana Air Base on the 3rd of December 2015 till now. So that is how it happened.
Okay, ntate. Mohi ihlile ka studio nka mona re tshwere kakapa e kgolo ya naha ya Lesotho. Mme le ikutlela le lona hore na ho qaleng ha hae o bile kapo o yentse eng. So Ntate Kennedy Silase, tell us why did you join the military and how did your family come to terms with you being in the Air Force?
Okay, first of all, I would say I believe life is all about service. So when I joined the military, I told myself that okay, it's not via giving out contributions of money or anything that I can do for Basotho and Lesotho. What I can do is maybe join an organization whereby I know that I'll be serving the interest of the people as the nation or as the people of this country. That is why primarily I took a solemn vow to myself that let me join the army, then via that contribution then people remember me for what I stood for.
So basically you wanted to be in the military to leave a mark to the generations to come.
For generations to come.
Or for generations to come.
Yes.
Okay. Mohi, we kutletse. We'll take an ad break. Ha re khutla re ntse re bua le Ntate Kennedy Silase. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back from the break. You're still sitting at home with me, Sebueng Lephatsa. Hopola ke itse ha ke tsamaye ke le mong ke na le Ntate Bothata Kennedy Silase. Mo re ntseng re bua ka ditaba tsa bophelo ba hae le buka ya hae ya The Recoil. Ntate Kennedy. Yo, o re jetse ditaba tsa monate haholo before we went to the ad break. Jwale Ntate Kennedy Silase a ko re jwetse haholo about your book The Recoil. Ke bone hore ke buka e monate haholo e na le thuto e ngata ka hare ho yona. Could you tell us more about it?
Okay. What I can say is The Recoil follows the life of Masilo Mokoena. Upon completion of his COSC level, he applied for the National University of Lesotho. Then he was later on he went to the National University of Lesotho, where he told himself that he was going to continue his studies with BSc Computer Science. So upon his arrival at the National University of Lesotho, what happened was he was confronted with a different platform, a different scenario, and ultimately there was a lot of peer pressure from the colleagues that he associated himself with. Then those colleagues that he was having by then derailed him from the ultimate plan that he wanted to do at the National University of Lesotho. Then he committed a series of crimes that impacted later on his life. Yes.
So ha re bua ka buka ena, re bua re ipapisitse le motjha hae mo kapa re bua re ipapisitse le bana ba dikolo hantle ka kotlolong?
Primarily, I can say the main focus of The Recoil was on the student part, because many people, in order to succeed in life, in order to say to tell ourselves that you are a youth of renowned stature, you need to go to school, right? So what happened was, I wrote that book because I saw some of the challenges that young men and women succumb to in the contemporary Lesotho, under technicons, under colleges, and under the different universities that we have within the borders of our country. So what happened was, I wanted people to look at those challenges as things that they can embrace, so that they can help them empower to a different level of life, not just to think them as challenges that will derail them from the ultimate goal that they want in their lives. Yes.
Looking at the character Kabukeng Gamon, we see the character being derailed by peer pressure and ultimately committing crimes which had an impact bophelong ba hae hantsa tswela pele.
Yes.
But I want you to tell us hore na, do you think kapa re ntse re na le monyetla re le batjha kapa re le the students dikolong tsa rona ka ho fapana hore we can actually go back and rewrite our lives ho sa tsotelle maemo a re fitileng hona?
Yes. What I can say is, if we can go into detail with the book of The Recoil. What happened with Masilo Mokoena was that he made a series of crimes, but later on he took a solemn vow onto himself that I'm going to change whatever situation that I'm in. Let me go back home. Let me go and retrace the steps. Let me go look into the whole scenario and see where I went wrong. Then he went down, he sat down, then he applied to join the Lesotho Defense Force, and courtesy of history, we remember that he was inducted into the army. Then he was sent to a cadet course in India. Then he came back as an officer of the army. But what we can notice is that all those things that he did while he was a student at the National University of Lesotho came back to haunt him. That is why the book is called The Recoil. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a very question, as simple, but which I believe most authors run away from, because it's either too personal to them.
Okay.
Which is what really inspired you to write the book, or after writing the book, how did you find it when people read about it, when people gave you feedback? Ke eng o no utlwa you inspire haholo?
You know what people said? There was a time I wrote the recoil. I started writing the recoil in 2016, but it came to publication in 2019. Then that was the time when people started noticing about it. That is when people started making comments, either on Facebook, either on international platforms. Like there are people who bought it on Amazon and other platforms. They would write their comments that I read this book, my views are this regarding a certain part, my views are this. So what I got from the people, it is something that I wanted, a change. That can we shapeshift from certain beliefs that you become popular via bad
behaviors,
bad deeds, or anything. But we should think in the capacity of let us change things via things that will make people to remember us for the good deeds that we did to the world. Yes.
Mohi o ikutlwetse hore na Ntate Bothata Kennedy Silase o di beha jwang? Se ke wa sutha re sa ya papatsong, ha re khutla re kena hape ka botebo re bua ka ena le buka ena ya hae. Welcome back from the break, Mohi. Re ntse re dutse le Ntate Bothata Kennedy Silase. Ntate Bothata, let's get into the nitty-gritties of the PLO Foundation. Can you tell us more about this foundation and how it is beneficial for the African societies?
What I can say is the PLO Lumumba Foundation mainly focuses on different sectors. It focuses on the agricultural sector, the education, advocacy. It also focuses on the fact that the African people should invent and innovate. So those are some of the key areas whereby we are working to change whatever morass that afflicts the African continent, since we want to catapult from this morass and we want the African communities to punch below their economic weights. So we believe through those sectors, if we can improve our education system, if we can improve our agricultural system, our health departments, our invention and innovation, then in generations to come, then we shall be talking of a different Africa from the one that we are realizing today.
Ke a tshepa Lesotho le yona e ka hare ho ditaba tsena, since you are the founder of this foundation, as well as I should hope being a director of the foundation. Jwale ke batla ho tseba kapa re tsebisa ba mamedi ha emono hore na eba e tlo re tswela molemo ka eng, haholoholo re ipapisitse le the education system. Re hlokomela ditaba tse ngata haholo ka haro education ya rona, given the fact that COVID ile ya disturb haholo the way bana ba bona ba ithutang ka yona. So how is it beneficial to us as Basotho?
Okay, let me just correct you somewhere along your question. You said I'm not the founder of the PLO Lumumba Foundation. I'm just a director in Lesotho of the PLO Lumumba Foundation chapter here in Lesotho.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So the founder of the PLO Lumumba Foundation is Professor Lumumba from Kenya. So what I can say is the way we think about the continent of Africa, we think of an Africa whereby we are united, whereby we know our history, we know where we come from. We are not, when we are talking about the the United Africa. We are not meaning that we are going to dissolve the borders of Africa, but literally we mean that we want an Africa whereby when I go to South Africa, then I'm treated as a brother. I am in a situation whereby I can access whatever thing without letter or hindrance. So we want to think in those sectors whereby we want to see our education sector with a different ideology, whereby people understand that we should embrace our Africanness, whereby people should understand that we should know our history in order to know where we are heading to. So this is why more often than not we will engage in public lectures about certain fundamental things that are affecting us on a daily basis.
Okay, this brings me to a saying that no man is an island. This, I should believe that this means that and the way we should be working Lesotho le South Africa kapa Lesotho le Kenya le dinaha tse ding kaofela, they are African continents or African countries tse tla nang ho sebetsa mmoho without any hindrance.
That is very true. What I can say is I remember Professor Lumumba when he was in Lesotho. He was saying if we remove the tariff and non-tariff barriers standing in our way, Lesotho could produce beef, and Lesotho, if we remove those the non-tariff and the tariff barriers standing in our way, then we would have a market of 1.4 billion, which is the total of the population of people living within the boundaries of the whole continent. But you see, when there are barriers or the tariffs and everything that hinder us from doing trade with ease, then you find yourself in a space whereby your market is just
it's enclosed.
Because let's say we are producing beef like he said, then we are only marketing to the 2 million people of Lesotho. Then we would be confined in a situation whereby our market is so limited that we can never achieve anything.
Oh, okay. Moving on to the interview. You are an international novelist.
Yes.
So Mr Bothata, looking into the recoil and against all odds, what advice would you give to young writers out there or young students out there who are reading your book at the present moment or who want to be you as a public figure? What advice would you give to them?
What I would say is it takes a lot of gratitude to be someone who is celebrated. Every day you want to achieve more. So primarily I can say I know the way systems are developed are nurtured in our country. It becomes very difficult for someone who is from a rural village to become a writer of note. Then ultimately I can say hang on, soldier on, and through that then you can be someone who we can relate to in the future. That you came and you did your part, you submitted your contributions, and ultimately we would see how you have tried to change the country from whatever situation that we are in.
Okay, can we go a little bit back? I feel this is of importance. Don't they feel it's time that they restructured their education curricula? Because I believe at one point there was a university that approached you concerning their book, but somehow it was, I would say it was declined, that your book wouldn't feature their curricula. But I want to ask if your book, do you feel it's really necessary for universities or for students out there to be introduced in the curricula, for them to know why and how they should go about life? Because ke dumela re le nakong eo re tlamehang ho tseba hore na di life skills na re di sebedisa jwang.
If one were to be melodramatic about it, I would say we are in danger of making the same mistake that we were doing back then.
Which is?
We are more or less attracted to the singer, not to the song. In that way, I'm trying to say, as long as the system that we are referring to was imposed by the colonialists, we believe that is good, no matter how much a croaking frog it can be. Because, for an example, I was telling a friend of mine that why should our children still be reading Animal Farm, yet we have young Basotho writers who have changed that narrative, that there are Basotho writers who can write in English and who can write with that scintillating texture, with that scintillating context. But indeed we are still referring to that book, a book that was written in 1945. Then we think that we can change whatever situation that we are in, unless and until we exercise that ghost. We will always be shipwrecked. So all I can say is that we must interrogate our systems. We must, in the nature of things, poo-poo that practice, because if we don't change that, we will always think that the conceptual West is so magnanimous, yet instead of seeing good things out of that, we just see the lights of an incoming train.
So basically what you are imploring is that we should always be in the business of learning new things beyond the school curricula.
That is what I'm saying, because what I can say is we should realize that things are dynamic, and if things are dynamic, we should change to the contemporary ones in order to achieve whatever objective that we want to change in a particular moment in time. We cannot be doing things that we did in 1992 the same way that we did them in 1992, the same way we are doing them now. That is completely irrelevant. Life in itself is dynamic, so we should be thinking of a better world. If we think of a better world, we must interrogate our systems. We must. I was telling some people, I was called by the NDCD and they were asking me, what do you think, what systems do you think can be imposed so that we change whatever situation that we are in? Then I was saying, first, the legislatures must conspire with the judiciary in order to do a raft of laws in order to enact the intellectual property law to protect our writers. We must remove the books of the colonialists from our systems and
implore
the books that are written by Basotho. And another thing, the Ministry of Tourism should build publishing houses so that we do not have to grapple with forests of taxes and other hidden costs after publishing beyond the borders of our country. Because you'll find your situation, I've never published here in Lesotho, you'll find a situation whereby someone will be telling you or asking you, Ntate Silase, can you please give me a hard copy of your book? Then I'll be saying, can you wait for at least a week? Because I'll be printing from the US or from Canada, just because we don't have printing companies, which we don't have publishing houses which you can refer someone to and say, no, go and talk to a certain publishing company, it has my book. But we print them on demand because we don't have those publishing houses here in our country. We must, in the nature of things, try to think that, and in that way, then that can uplift the spirit of young writers, young men and women who are even thinking of writing. Because why should, in the first place, would I write when I know that my book won't even take part just for the competition of being taken into the system? Yeah. Why would I be in a situation or involve myself in a situation of even thinking of wasting that time of mine writing books? Then you see, we are just throwing away all the hope, all the history, all the education that we might be getting from young people, from young writers and people who would want to share their thoughts with us.
Wrapping up our conversation for today, Dr. Kennedy, would really love to thank you for being with us today and sharing stories of how Lorona le babuhi ba rona haikwana. And Dr. Kennedy, where can we find the book? Where can we find your books since Sedile published? Your Facebook media handles, where can we find you for comments, for questions, which platforms?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me say how glad I am to have been invited to share my thoughts with you relating on these matters that involve us on a daily basis. You can find my books on all the book centers of Mazinot, countrywide in Lesotho. You can find them at the book centers of Morija, Book Depot, all the book centers they have in Lesotho. There is this other one in Pioneer Mall by the name of Lifestyle. It has branches across Africa, so you can find all my books there. You can also buy them on Amazon, Smashwords, and other international platforms. On Facebook, I go by my own names, Bothata Kennedy Silase. I have the page and the profile, so you can get me there.
They can find you there.
Yes.
Oh, so not even WhatsApp, because we don't want them invading your privacy.
Okay.
Mohi, re fihlile pheletsong ya lenaneo la rona Walk With Me. Hopola ke se bueng le Phatsa. Until next time, Mohi, le rona re fumaneha ho Facebook, Let's Walk With Me, Twitter, Walk With Me, Instagram, #Let's Walk With Me. Oh, le YouTube, ke Walk With Me. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and also leave comments. Until next time, bye bye.